Good morning. You are listening to UpReach, a morning devotional presented by the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee, to encourage you as you face the opportunities and challenges of today. Let's begin this day together with some inspiring thoughts from God's holy word.
I sought for a man among them who would make a wall and stand in the gap before me on behalf of the land, that I should not destroy it. But I found no one. Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30. A very distinguished teacher and theologian recalls his experiences in chaplaincy service in the Army in the days of the war. Very often, he says, in the Army, the chaplain is referred to quite simply as the man of God. He goes on to say that when you look back and sort out your memories and impressions, you can see that in their chaplain, the men look for three outstanding qualities. First, they look for a man who knows them and is interested in them as people. Paul Tournier, in A Doctor's Casebook, speaks of what he calls the modern massification of society. The tendency nowadays is for the individual to be lost in the mass. It is so easy for the individual to cease in any sense to be an individual and rather to become a number on a form, an entry on a file, a specimen pigeonholed in some neat classification. Tournier says that the doctor's great danger is that he ceases to think of a man as a person and begins to think of him as a gallbladder case or a lung case. We live in an age when people tend to be numbers, entries, specimens. The basic human need is to be treated as a person. Treatment as a person is one of the basic things that anyone has a right to look for in a church. One may be a mere number in the world, but to God, he is a person with a name, and in the church, each individual must be seen as a person. Second, they look for a man who knows their position and who knows what they are going through. They do not have any use for a man who has no knowledge and no understanding of their problems, their experiences, and their temptations. Ezekiel brings the message of God to those who are in captivity. He needs not himself to share that captivity, but what he says is worth repeating. Then I came to the captives of Tel Abib, who dwelt by the river Chebar, and I sat where they sat, and remained there astonished among them 7 days. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 15. I sat where they sat. That is the secret of being able to bring any help to others. That is what God does in Jesus Christ. Finally, they feel that the chaplain must be a man who can speak a word for them to God and who can speak a word to them from God. He must be a man who can somehow take their prayers and their needs and their requests to God. And he must be a man who can somehow bring to them from God's message to meet their condition. That, indeed, is the greatest task of all. To fulfill it, a man has to live close to men and close to God. He has to be the pontifex, or the bridge builder between God and his people. It is about the work of the ministry in particular that we are thinking and speaking, but surely these things must be the work not only of the minister, but of every Christian to his fellow men. What about you today? Are you seeking to be a bridge builder within your circle of influence? Why not ask God to give you the wisdom, the courage, and the desire to make every effort to connect others with Him through your words and actions today?
This has been UpReach, a presentation of the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee. I am Kyle Bolton, the pulpit minister at Church Street, and I would like to personally invite you to come and share times of Bible study and worship with us each week. We meet every Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. for our morning worship, followed by our Sunday school for all ages at 10:15 a.m. Then we meet again at 6 o'clock p.m. for our evening worship. We also have a midweek meeting for devotion and Bible study on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. I hope to see you there. Have a blessed day.
Restore my spirit, Lord, I need restore. Lord, you know that my heart is weary. Please help me, dear